My name is Henry Brandemart, and it's spelled B-R-A-N-D-I-M-A-R-T-E. I'm a captain with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, and I'm assigned as the commander here in the Fountain Hills substation.
So what's going on?
Since June 25th, we've had 2 death investigations that we feel have been directly related to the excessive heat that we've been experiencing here in the valley. On June 25th, we had an 86-year-old female who had some minor medical issues and was living alone pass away in her residence. When we began our investigation, we noted that the AC appeared to be not functioning properly. The temperature gauge was set to 78 degrees, however, it was over 99 degrees in the apartment. That, coupled with her minor medical issues, may have been a direct contributor to her death. In our second case on June 30th, a 90-year-old female who was also living alone was found deceased, and when we entered her apartment, the AC was also not functioning. The setting for the blower was set on high, but the AC unit itself was off. When we turned the AC unit on, all it would do is blow hot air. So we believe in this case the victim just shut the air conditioner off because it was just unbearably hot in there. In both of these cases, I find it interesting that these women lived alone and suffered, or didn't at least report, the lack of air conditioning or the malfunctioning air conditioning, or seek to gain relief in some way or another. We know that our older elderly community, one of the things that we experience when they get older is their inability to regulate their body temperatures as well as they can when we're younger. And so we think that when they realized just how hot it was in the apartment, they were already in trouble, and they didn't pick up the phone, and conversely, there was no one who was checking on them. So in this particular situation, the reason we wanted to reach out to the media today was get that information out. While we're experiencing these high temperatures, reach out to your family members, reach out to your neighbors, check on them once or twice a day, make sure they're doing okay, check their comfort level in their residence. If it's excessively hot in there, either invite them to your residence to enjoy the air conditioning, call us, we'll stop by, we'll take them to the library, some area. Even a few hours cooling down in an air conditioning environment, it would make a huge difference. We feel these poor women suffered needlessly because of the excessive heat, so we want to get the information out that as a community we need to come together and do a better job of looking out for each other and checking on each other.
How did you guys even know to check these 2 residences' houses? Was it a friend? Couldn't get a hold of them?
In both of these cases, we know one friend was actually checking and had gone there that morning to check on her and found her deceased. So we're not sure what happened in between the 2 times that he checked on her, but he knew that she needed the cool air because she was she kept it set at 78 degrees all the time, so we know there was probably a malfunction with her air conditioner. In the second one, there was a couple of days accumulation of newspapers in the driveway, which is always an indicator. One of the things we noticed, particularly here in Fountain Hills, and I imagine it's a lot of places throughout the valley, that we know our neighbors. We may not know their name, but we know what kind of car they drive. We know what time they leave for work. We know what their general routine is. In the second case, when we talked to the neighbor, she said, look, she was like clockwork, taking out the garbage, checking her mail, and so somebody noticed that something was different, and so they made the call. Unfortunately, because of the extreme heat, it was a little too late for us to really do anything. But as we move forward, let's start being proactive in how we're looking at folks and their comfort and their survivability in this extreme heat environment we're in right now.
Fountain Hills is still a retirement area. Are you concentrating your efforts up here, or are you doing it countywide?
This is, well, it started here. We're trying to push this information out countywide. When we presented our findings over the past week to Sheriff Penzone, he wanted to make sure that we get this out to all of the county residents, not just Sheriff's Office folks, but Phoenix and Mesa and Tempe, Gilbert, all those areas where we do have a community that can be affected by this. So the CDC says we lose about 600 people a year to extreme heat-related deaths. Over 65, you're particularly prone to risk when it comes to excessive heat.
obviously, I don't know if you know, were these houses, were they renting these houses? Were they owned by, just, obviously not just here in Fountain Hills, but other places, some landlords have issues fixing ACs, and that's a lot of times calls to our newsrooms about their ACs not working. Kind of, what steps can people do if their AC is not working and they're renting a property?
Well, they can reach out to, there's a landlord-tenant clause that allows them, they get specific rights when it comes to repairs and the timeliness of those repairs. When all else fails, reach out to the first responders, and we can come and provide resources for you as best we can. No one should have to sit there and suffer in these kind of conditions.
Were either of these women homebound, like possibly dementia or any other?
Yes, we know one of them suffered from mild dementia and had some eyesight issues, but the other one didn't appear to have any restrictions on her activities. Again, this is just a case where they're living by themselves and there's just not a second pair of eyes to just ensure that things are going well for them.
Obviously, I'm guessing you've been in touch with the families of these two. Do they have family here locally, or?
I can't speak to that as a factual basis, but I do know, at least I'm of the impression that they don't have any local family. I think the closest family members on one of them lived in Pinal County, and we have been in touch with them.
It's a sad situation all the way around, losing two people to the heat.
Well, it's extremely unusual. You know, I've been with the office now for 29 years, and I've worked Sun City for a number of those years, and I've never seen two cases in 1 week, and that's what kind of made me realize that we needed to get some information out, because I don't think this is an isolated issue here in Fountain Hills. I think it's bound to happen if we don't start being more proactive and getting information and checking on our own community.
So what should family members do if they don't live here locally to go check on them? What can they do to have someone go check on them for them?
Well, what they can do is they can obviously call every day, and when they don't get a response, they can have us go check on them. There's friends. A lot of these folks have extended friend networks here in town, clubs and so forth that they belong to. Reach out to those community members. Service and meal delivery personnel in particular, because a lot of these folks receive meal service. Reach out to us and let us know if there's an environment that we need to check on. Again, this shouldn't have happened, and so I think, you know, just recognizing that people are in distress and taking that extra step that we don't normally see will go a long way to preventing unnecessary deaths in this type of situation.
And I'm sorry, did you end up saying, I might have missed this, did both deceased women own these homes, or were they renting?
I believe they owned them. I believe they were longtime residents here. So in one case, and a lot of the times, I can't speak to why they weren't working, but if you're on a fixed income, there's certainly some restrictions. We did have one other case, and luckily we caught it ahead of time, where the air conditioning wasn't working, and we were able to work with a local AC company that would repair the AC and take payments over a monthly basis. So that allowed that AC to get back up and running. Otherwise, we could be here talking about a third case.
And when did that case happen?
I believe it was in this same time frame, the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
If there's just like you mentioned, I'm not saying that everybody should go to you guys to try to fix your AC, but if they can't do it, what are some options that they can try to do if they don't have a lot of money and they do own their home and, you know, just can't seem to get the money to
Well, portable coolers, fans work, but they're not the best. A lot of it is air movement. You know, I was telling a story earlier this morning that when my boys played football here in the Valley, you know, they start in July and August with their leagues and so forth, and we would keep an ice bucket with cold rags, and when they come off for their breaks, not only would they hydrate, which is the #1 thing I can highly recommend for everybody to do, drink water. Don't drink alcohol, don't drink caffeine. Make sure you hydrate. Do not wait until you're thirsty, because you're already in trouble if that occurs. So when they'd come off, they would take these cool rags and they put them on the back of their neck, which is your thermostat for your body. It's the quickest way to cool somebody down. Take those cold compresses, those cold rags, and put them on the back of the neck. Try to break that heat rising. Once you get over 103 degrees, particularly when you're over the age of 65, you could be in real trouble, and that requires a medical intervention from either the fire department or a trip to the hospital.
So again, the second time, was it an officer that noticed the newspaper stacking up, or who actually noticed the newspaper?
No, that was also a neighbor. So in both cases, the neighbors did call us when they noticed something unusual, and kudos to them for reaching out. We just think with this extreme heat, people need to be a little more, nobody wants to call and create a fuss. It's embarrassing when we show up and knock on the door. Sometimes people get mad when we knock on the door and say, hey, your neighbor was worried about you. But we would rather come out and deal with that situation than come out and deal with the death situation.
All right. Do you have an area or cross streets or anything of the, like, say, this last one?
I can give that information to you. I don't, well, I'm sorry, I do have it. The first one was in 15800 block of El Lago, which is just right up here. And then the second one occurred in the 14400 block of North San Carlos. And off the top of my head, I'm not sure where that is.
Maybe those numbers again?
Yes, it's 14400 North San Carlos. And the other one is 15800 East El Lago Boulevard.
1-8?
15800.